So in this video, I will be discussing the solutions of a 100-item licensure examination for teachers or let reviewer under the general education mathematics subject. And this will be only the part 1, which is composed of the solutions of numbers 1 to 10, and the rest will be separated in a different video. So let's start. So here's the first problem, or the first item. All the seats in the bus were occupied and 4 persons are standing. At the next stop, 12 persons got off and 3 persons got in. How many seats are vacant after they have seated? So let's determine first the answer. So the answer for the first problem is 5. So how did we get 5? So let's illustrate the problem. All the seats in the bus were occupied. So it's not given that how many or what's the total capacity of the bus, but it's given that it's occupied. So let's illustrate it. So here's the bus and we are not sure how big it is, but we are sure that it's full. And it's given that there are 4 persons standing. And so we have 4 triangles representing 4 persons who are standing. And then at the next stop, 12 persons got off and 3 persons got in. And so we have 12 persons, 12 vacant seats. So it's minus 12 the total capacity. And then 3 persons got in. So it's plus 3 to the number of passengers. So basically it's only 9 seats which are vacant. And then remember that we have 4 persons standing, and so these 4 persons will not just leave there and keep on standing, although they know that there are vacant seats. Of course they will take some seat, and they will take 4 vacant seats, and so we have minus 4 of the 9 vacant seats. So all in all there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 vacant seats. So even if we don't know the total capacity of the bus, we're still able to know the number of vacant seats based on the given problem. Now what if part of those 12 who left the bus are those 4 people standing? So it's actually the same answer. It won't matter whether those 12 who went out from the bus are coming from those sitting, or some of it are coming from those people standing. It's going to be the same answer. So let me show you the solution for this. So here's the same illustration of the bus, and then we're going to remove 12 people, including those 4 standing. So as I said, it's going to be the same answer whether it's all 4 standing or just only 2 of those standing left the bus. It's going to be the same answer, but let me illustrate to you the solution. So here there are only 8 vacant seats because 4 of those 12 are those who are already standing, and then there are 3 who got in, so it's plus 3. So there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 vacant seats, and the remaining 4 are those who are standing. So there's no vacant seat for them because they are standing. So that's it. That's another way of solving the number 1. So let's have the second problem. If a price of a round-trip fare to Malaybalay City, Bukidnon to Cagayan de Oro is 240 pesos, how much will it cost a family of 4 if the husband pays full fare, the wife pays 2/3 of the full fare, and 2 each pays a half of the regular fare? So let's answer. So the answer for this problem is 640 pesos. And how we get that answer? So let us first list those involved in this problem. So we have the husband, the wife, and the two which are not given. Maybe these are two kids. So let's assume that's child 1 and 2. So for the husband, it says it pays full fare, and so it's 240 pesos times one whole fare. So it's 240 pesos. For wife, it's 240 times, it's given it's only 2/3 of the full fare, so it's times 2/3. And so if we are going to multiply it and divide by 3, or we can do this, we can cancel, reduce 240 divided by 3, that's 80, and then we multiply so that it's going to be easier to multiply. So 80 times 2 is 160. But if you don't like that way, you can just multiply 240 times 2 divided by 3. It's going to be the same answer. So for the first child, of course, it's the same answer for both. So it's 240 times 1/2, or 1/2 of 240, or we can do this cancellation. So it's 120 times 1 is 120. So how do you get 120? The one with the violet, we divide 240 by 2, because that's the one we cancel. And then the same thing with the second child, it's the same solution. So all in all, we're gonna add it, it's 640 pesos, and that's the answer. So another way of solving this problem is to add first the fractions and then multiply the sum into 240. So let me show it to you. So let's list first those people involved, and then we're going to put the equivalent fraction, which is one whole fare for the husband, 2/3 only for wife, and 1/2 for both kids. And so what we're going to do is to combine this four fractions. So there's no problem with 1, and then for 2/3 we'll just leave it there, but we can combine 1/2 and 1/2, that's 1. And then let's add this. So we can add the two ones, so 1 plus 1 is 2. So I'm doing it this way so that it's easier for us to combine, but it's up to you. You can also do it by adding 1 and 2/3 first, then you add it by 1/2. So it's up to you, although it takes longer. So I'm just doing a shorter way to add these fractions. So how to add 2 and 2/3? So let's make 2 into 2 over 1. It's the same as 2. And then we cannot add fractions if they don't have the same denominator. So we need to multiply something to the denominator of 2 over 1 to make it the same as the 2/3. It must be the same 3 denominator. So to have that denominator 3, we need to times 3 the denominator. But whatever you times to the denominator, it must be done in the numerator as well. So it is now 6/3. 2 times 3 is 6, 1 times 3 is 3. So we can add them. So 6 plus 2 is 8, and then copy the denominator. Now we have the sum of the fractions, so we can times it with 240 pesos. So we can multiply it directly, or you do cancellation first to make it smaller number. So we can cancel 3 and 240 because they are both divisible by 3. So we can divide 240 by 3, it's 80. And 3 divided by 3 is 1, so you may not write 1 anymore. So 8 times 80 is 640, and that's the answer. So let's have the third problem. The price of an item is increased by 80% and then offered at 30% discount. What happened to the original price? So let's have the answer. So the answer for the third problem is there is an increase of 26%. So how do you get this answer? So let's solve this. Let's identify the discount first. So the discount is, based on the given, it's 30% of the price. So how much is the price? It's not given. And so it's 30% of the 100% plus 80%. That's the price. It's given that it increased by 80%. So whatever is the price, that's the 100% plus 80% of that. So basically it's gonna be 180%. That's the new price. So whatever is the real price times 180%. Okay. And so we're going to make it into decimal because we cannot multiply if it's still in percent. So we divide it by 100. That's, or just simply move the decimal point twice. So it becomes 0.30 and 1.80. Then let's multiply. So 1.80 times 0.30. So we can just ignore the zeros at the right side because this is decimal. So those zeros are not significant. So we have 8 times 3 is 24, carry 2. And then 1 times 3 is 3 plus 2 is 5. And then there are how many decimal places? 1, 2. So we'll count in the product 1, 2, and then decimal point. So the product is 0.54. So that's the discount. So the discount is in percent. It's 54%. So that means 180%, that's the new price after increasing, minus the discount 54%, which is the 30% of 180%, or the new price. So the second new price is 126%. So this is the price after discount of 30%. So when compared to the original price before it increased, it is now increased by 26% only. So instead of 80% at first, it is now 26% because 30% of that of the new price was discounted. So that's why the answer in this problem is an increase of 26%. So here's the fourth problem. The price of one student meal in a canteen is 50 pesos, and an average of 400 students orders that meal every day. If the price of the meal was increased to 80 pesos, how many orders would yield the same amount to the canteen? So let's have the answer. So the answer for the fourth problem is 250. Now how do we get this? So let us analyze the problem. The price of one student meal in a canteen is 50 pesos, and there are average of 400 students that orders the meal every day. So that's 400 students times 50 pesos. So it's a total of 20,000 pesos. That's the total amount of order. And then we want to know how many orders if the amount is increased, and then still the total is the same. It's 20,000 pesos. So let us solve it. So this is just basically algebra. So if you know algebra, it's going to be easy for you. So in algebra, we want to isolate the missing variable. Here it's n in one side. So we want to leave the n. If you say isolate, we want the n to be alone in one side. So for it to be alone, we would need to remove the 80 or transfer it at the right side. So to do that, we need to divide both sides by 80 so that this will be cancelled, and n will be left alone so that we can divide 20,000 by 80. So it will be 250 pesos, and that's the answer. So let's have the fifth problem. In a school party, the ratio of boys to girls is 6:5. If there are 90 boys, how many students are there? So let's get the answer. So the answer for this problem is 165 for B. So how do we get this answer? So let's start with the ratio 6:5, where 6 represents the boys and 5 represents the girls. And these are just units of the ratio 6:5. So we don't know how many students is represented by each unit of this ratio. But it's given that there are 90 boys. So meaning this 90 is represented by 6 units in the ratio. And we don't know how many girls are there. So that's a problem. That's why we cannot identify the total number of students, because we're just given by the ratio. And so to solve this, we need to get the unit value, meaning we need to know how many students are represented by each unit in the ratio. So what we can use here is the 90 and 6, because it is given, it is paired, they are both for boys. So 90 students, 90 boys divided by the 6 units. So that means each unit represents 15 boys. So that means if you want to know how many girls, you just multiply 5 units by 15 and you will know how many girls are there. So that's another way of getting the total. So get the number of girls and add it with the number of boys. Or you can do this. So just add the total number of units, the 6 for boys and 5 for girls, 6 plus 5 times the 15, because each unit represents 15 students. So it's 11 times 15. That is 165. So as I said, if you want to know the number of girls, so just multiply 5 units by 15. So you will know the number of girls, and then you can add it with 90. So that's another way of solving this problem. So let's have the sixth problem. 2 buses leave the same station at 5 a.m. One bus travels north at the rate of 40 kilometers per hour, and the other travels east at 30 kilometers per hour. How many kilometers apart are the buses at 6 a.m. in the morning? So let's answer this. So the answer for this is 50 kilometers. So how do we get this answer? So let's analyze the problem. Let's illustrate it. So you have this figure as the bus station, and then this is the bus 1, or the first bus, and then you have the second bus coming from the bus station at 5 a.m. And then the first bus went up to the north at 40 kilometers per hour, and then the second bus went to the east at 30 kilometers per hour, and they reached this part at exactly 6 a.m. although they are not yet done moving, but we'll just estimate up to 6 a.m. how far they are. So basically it forms like a right triangle, where this is the station, we'll name it S, and we'll name it B1 at the corner on top, and the corner at the right, we'll name it B2. And so the distance from the S to B1, since it's 40 kilometers per hour and 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. is just exactly 1 hour, so it traveled 40 kilometers, because it says 40 kilometers per hour, or every hour it will reach 40 kilometers. And then for the bus 2, since it's 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., again it's 1 hour, exactly 1 hour. So since it traveled from for 30 kilometers per hour, so it traveled 30 kilometers. And then this part will be the missing. That's the distance between the bus 1 and bus 2. So what we're going to use here, since it's a right triangle, it's gonna be a Pythagorean theorem. So let's use it to solve this problem. So let's transfer this figure, the triangle at the left, to have more space for solution. So let us use Pythagorean theorem. And it says that the a squared plus b squared, or the square of the two legs, is having a sum of the square of the hypotenuse, which is the c squared. So in our problem, we have the 40 squared plus 30 squared, those are the legs of the right triangle, equals the hypotenuse, or the distance between the two bosses, which is the hypotenuse in the problem. It's x squared, so we denote it as x squared, or we can use different variables for the missing part. And so let us solve this. So the square of 40 and 30 is 1600 and 900, and then get the sum. So it's 2500, and then we're gonna square both sides to get the value of x. So square of 2500 is 50, so that means the x is 50. So the distance between the bus 1 and bus 2 after at 6 a.m. is 50 kilometers. So we have problem number 7. One angle of a triangle is thrice as much as the other, but the third angle is 5 times as much as the smallest. What is the measure in degrees of the smallest angle? So let's have the answer for this. So the answer for this problem is 20 degrees. So how do we get 20 degrees? Okay, so let's illustrate this. It's one angle of a triangle is thrice as much as the other. So there's one angle, and then there's another angle that is thrice of it. While the third angle is 5 times as much as the smallest, it's expected that this x, so we use x for the missing, or you can use any other variable. So this x must be the smallest, because the second one is 3 times of that. So the third, or the biggest, is 5 times of that smallest. So it's 5 times x. And then what is the measure in degrees of the smallest? So in short, what's the value of x? So we know that the sum of the angles, the interior angles of a triangle, is 180 degrees. So let's add all those angles, x, 3x, and 5x. And then let's solve for x. So we can combine x and 3x, that's 4x, as well as 4x and 5x, that's 9x. And then we both divide by 9 so that we isolate the x. We leave the x alone in one side. So we divide both by 9 so that the 9 can be cancelled, and x is left. So 180 divided by 9 is 20. So that's why the answer is 20 degrees. So problem number 8. Jose is 10 years older than his brother Lando. However, Y years ago, Jose is twice as old as Lando. Find the value of x minus y, given that Lando is now x years old and x is greater than y. So let's have the answer. So the answer for this problem is 10. And how to get 10? So let us illustrate this using a table to illustrate the age of Jose and Lando. So at present, so we don't know with the age of these two, but if we represent Lando's age at present as x, then since it's given that Jose is 10 years older than his brother Lando, so Jose will be at present x plus 10, because it's 10 years older. Then let's have the y years ago. So we don't know how much is this y. It may be 10 years ago or 5 years ago, but if you say years ago, so it means we subtract the present age by how many years. So it's given that it's y years. So y years ago, Jose is x plus 10, the present age, minus the y as y years ago. Also, for Lando, it's the x, the present age, minus the y as y years ago. So those are the ages of Jose and Lando y years ago. But we can also represent Jose's age y years ago in another way, based on the given. It's given that y years ago, Jose is twice as old as Lando. So we have or. So Jose is twice as old as Lando. It's 2 times the age of Lando at that time, which is x minus y. And so we are going to solve this problem with this statement, because this statement is telling you that there are 2 expressions which are equal. The x plus 10 minus y is equal to 2 times x minus y, because these 2 are the ages of Jose, and this must have the same value. So we're gonna use that into and transform it into an equation to solve this problem. So again, let's focus on this statement. The age of Jose y years ago, which are in different expression, but they are the same age, the same value. So that means we can replace the or into equals. And then let's simplify this. So we have x plus 10 minus y. Just leave it there. We cannot solve or add or something in this expression, but we can distribute the 2 in the right side, which is 2 times x and 2 times y. So it will be 2x minus 2y. And then we can transpose the x and negative y from the left going to the right, so that the 10 will be left at the left, and then the x and y will be combined at the right side. So this is how it looks like. So the x becomes negative x at the right side, the negative y from the left becomes positive y. So in the 2x minus 2y is just copied, and then we'll just copy the 10 and the equals, and then we combine x by x and y by y. So 2x combined with negative x, that's x, and negative 2y combined with positive y, it's negative y. So we have 10 is equal to x minus y, or x minus y is equal to 10, and that is what we are looking for. It's asking find the value of x minus y. So the value of x minus y is 10. So let's have problem number 9. Given that x plus y is 2a and x minus y is 2b, what is the value of xy? So let us solve this. So the answer for this problem is a squared minus b squared. So how did we get into this answer? Let's have the solution. So we're gonna have the given equations x plus y equals 2a and x minus y equals 2b. So for now, our target is to know what is x and what is y. So it might not be a value, but at least an expression, so that we can have the xy. So after knowing the x and the y, so we'll just times it, because xy means x times y, so that we will get the answer. So from these 2 equations, we're gonna solve the x and y using simultaneous equation method, elimination. So we're gonna add this so that the y will be cancelled. So positive y and negative y, if you combine it, that's 0. So let's add x and x is 2x, so y is gone. And then 2a plus 2b is 2a plus 2b. You cannot combine it. And so we can divide all by 2 to reduce it. So all the 2's will be gone. So x is a plus b. So because all those 2's will be cancelled. And then since we know x, so we can substitute from any of the 2 equations given. So we'll just use the first equation. So we have this given equation, and then we will substitute x by a plus b, and then plus y equals 2a, and then we will simplify this so that we can have the y. So we transpose a plus b to the right side, so it's it's gonna be different sign now. It will change sign from positive A to negative A, from positive B to negative B, and then combine 2A and negative A, it's positive A, and then copy negative B. So the y is A minus B. So now we have the value of x and y, so we can get now the product of x and y. So let's continue. So now let's continue. We have x is A plus B and y is A minus B, which is, we have solved that already, and we're gonna have the value of x, y, or the product of x and y. So let's multiply this A plus B and A minus B. So this is equal to, so this is actually a difference of two squares. So meaning if we add, or I mean if you multiply a sum and a product of two exactly the same expression, the A and B and B, so it's going to be A squared minus B squared. This is what you call the difference of two squares. So A squared minus B squared, if you factor it, it's A plus B times A minus B. But if you're unfamiliar with that, so we can just multiply it manually. So we'll just multiply A times A is A squared, A times negative B is negative AB, B times A is AB, or BA, it's the same. B times negative B is negative B squared. And then we can combine these two, negative AB and positive AB, that's 0. So what's left is A squared minus B squared, so it's the same answer. So either you do it manually or you're familiar with the difference of two squares, so you'll get the answer the same. So that's the number 9. So problem number 10. Anne's scores in the last 4 tests were 85, 82, 97, and 91. What must be her score in the 5th and last test to get an average of at least 90? So let's find the answer. So the answer for this problem is 95. So how did we get 95? So let's solve it. So it's given that there are 4 scores of Anne. It's 85, 82, 97, and 91. And what must be the 5th number for the score so that the average is at least 90? So to get the average, we add, we get the total scores. So of course, all the 4 numbers plus the missing divided by how many of them. These are all 5. So divided by 5. That's how we get the average. And it must be at least 90. So if you say at least, it must be greater or equal to 90. So it can be 90 or higher. And then to solve this, we just we need to remove first the fraction, the over 5. So to do that, we're going to multiply both sides by 5. So why do you need to do this? So that we can cancel the 5 and it's going to be easier to solve now. So what's left is this. And then we will combine the values at the left. So it's easier for us to transpose or transfer to the other side. And then we multiply 90 and 5, which is 450. And then to get the value of x, so we will isolate that. We'll leave it alone at one side. So we'll transpose 355 to the other side. 450 minus 355. So it changes sign when you transfer. So combine that, it's gonna be 95. So the score, the 5th score must be 95 or above. So but there are no choices for or above, so that's 95. So that's the last problem for this video, and that's the first part. So the second part will be uploaded soon. So I hope you have learned from this video.